Have you ever thought a single penny could be your golden ticket to hundreds of dollars? Welcome back to the channel where hidden treasures in your pocket change are revealed like never before, and today's spotlight is shining bright on a seemingly ordinary yet astonishingly valuable 1998 1-cent coin from the United States that could be sitting unnoticed in your coin jar or tucked away in a drawer. And this isn't just another Lincoln cent story, it's a deep dive into the mysteries, the minting mishaps, and the rare conditions that have elevated this coin's market value from 1 cent to a staggering face value of $187, making it one of the most talked about and sought-after era coins in recent times, especially among collectors who understand that behind every mint mark lies a story worth thousands. And before we unfold all the compelling reasons why this coin might be the jackpot you didn't know you had, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a moment of discovering big money in small change, because the world of coins is as unpredictable as it is fascinating. Now let's unravel the unique saga of the 1998 D-penny, minted at the Denver Mint, a facility known for mass production but also occasional unintentional masterpieces that slip past quality control and find their way into circulation. And while billions of Lincoln cents were struck in 1998, it's the rare errors, anomalies, and extraordinary conditions that make specific coins in this series worth far more than their face value, starting with the doubled obverse, a rare variation in which Abraham Lincoln's features, the word liberty, the date, or even the famous motto "In God We Trust" appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment during the minting process, a flaw that numismatists love because it's both visually striking and historically significant. And what makes it even more captivating is that these doubling effects are subtle enough to escape casual detection, meaning many people unknowingly spend these error coins at face value, unaware they've just handed over a coin worth hundreds. And then there's the off-center strike error, where the design is noticeably misaligned, sometimes by 10%, 20%, or even 50% or more, leading to partial or complete absences of design elements on one side. And if your 1998 D-penny has such an error combined with visible date and mint mark, it's not just a coin, it's a collector's dream, worth $100 or more depending on severity and condition. But wait, there's also the famous die clash error, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of one side's design onto the opposite die, and thus onto the coins themselves. And when these clash marks appear behind Lincoln's bust or within the Lincoln Memorial, they're considered prized minting mistakes. And speaking of the Lincoln Memorial reverse, some collectors have reported partial plating errors where the outer copper layer of the zinc-based penny begins to peel or flake off, giving the coin a distressed, almost bimetallic appearance that's both rare and valuable, especially when paired with other anomalies like die cracks or cuds, which are raised blobs of metal resulting from damage or breakage in the die itself. And collectors adore these so-called die breaks, especially when they stretch across Lincoln's face or frame the memorial columns, because they turn a mass-produced penny into a one-of-a-kind numismatic artwork. But it doesn't stop there. Some 1998 D-pennies have been discovered with transitional metal errors, meaning they were mistakenly struck on planchets intended for another year's composition, which can occur when leftover planchets from prior years are accidentally fed into the presses. And these oddities, such as a bronze planchet instead of the standard zinc with copper plating, can result in weight discrepancies detectable only by careful scale measurements, yet they are worth a fortune once authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. And remember, condition is key, so a mint state 1998 D-penny with any of these errors could command triple or quadruple its value. And if certified as MS65 or higher, particularly with a full red color designation indicating it hasn't lost its copper luster, it can easily surpass $150 in value and sometimes even hit the $187 mark as recorded in recent sales and auctions. And that's why examining every detail, from the sharpness of the strike, the alignment of the dies, the integrity of the rim, and the presence of any doubling, die polishing lines, or laminations, is crucial to determining a coin's true worth. And interestingly, many of these coins are discovered not by professional collectors but by everyday people who simply take a closer look at their change, proving that coin collecting is not just for the elite but for anyone with a keen eye and a bit of curiosity. And it's this democratic nature of numismatics that fuels the ongoing excitement and viral buzz around error coins like the 1998 D-penny, a coin minted in the billions yet valuable in the thousands, but only when you know what to look for. And we haven't even touched upon the market trends, where demand for error coins has skyrocketed thanks to viral social media posts and YouTube videos showcasing jaw-dropping finds, which in turn increases competition among collectors and drives up prices. meaning the longer you wait to check your change, the more likely you might miss out on discovering a small copper-colored treasure worth nearly 200 times its face value. And now imagine the feeling of holding in your hand what millions have overlooked, a 1998 D-penny that isn't just currency but a piece of minting history with flaws so unique they become features, with value rooted not in perfection but in imperfection. And that's the irony and beauty of it all, because while most industries discard mistakes, coin collectors chase them with passion, expertise, and wallets wide open, creating a fascinating niche where an ordinary coin becomes a collectible artifact that tells a story of mechanical error, human oversight, and historical production quirks. And each of these traits only adds to the desirability of the coin in the eyes of seasoned collectors and enthusiastic newcomers alike. So whether you're an avid numismatist or a curious viewer just learning about this hidden world, the tale of the 1998 D-penny proves that there's always more than meets the eye when it comes to coins, and that face value is just the beginning, because true worth is found in rarity, condition, history, and demand. So as you check your pocket change tonight, remember that even a single cent might hold a story worth hundreds. And as always, if you found this deep dive fascinating, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more mind-blowing stories of small coins with big value, because the next coin we cover might just be sitting in your wallet right now. And you won't want to miss what's coming next, especially when we uncover the secrets behind more hidden treasures like the 1998 D1 USA coin with a face value now worth $187, one of the most surprising pieces of big money in US coin history. Next. Today's captivating episode, we're going to unveil the shocking secrets and hidden value behind a seemingly ordinary yet incredibly special 1996 1-cent coin from the United States that, thanks to an array of rare and curious minting errors, anomalies, and historic missteps during production, has achieved an astounding valuation of $109 in today's collector's market, which is a massive increase from its humble 1-cent face value. And now let's embark on a detailed journey that will peel back the layers of what makes this particular penny such a standout piece of numismatic history, starting from its minting process, historical context, potential variations, and continuing through the kinds of errors and features collectors are eagerly hunting down today, all of which contribute to its growing fame and skyrocketing value. And while most people might walk right past a 1996 penny without giving it a second thought, coin collectors, enthusiasts, and numismatic investors have learned to look closer, because what lies on the surface and what hides within the coin's details can change everything. And so it begins in 1996, when the United States Mint was producing billions of coins to support national commerce, and the familiar Lincoln cent remained in heavy circulation, crafted in copper-plated zinc since the metal composition switch in 1982. And during that year the mint facilities, especially in Philadelphia and Denver, were under heavy pressure to meet coinage demand, which may have contributed to a spike in quality control lapses and minor oversights that would eventually be recognized as valuable errors. And among these coins, the 1996 1-cent that stands out most is often the one struck with defects like off-center strikes, doubled dies, die cracks, weak strikes, broad strikes, filled dies, and more, all of which may seem minor to an untrained eye but to an experienced collector can instantly transform an ordinary penny into a desirable rarity. And let's begin with the double die error, which is one of the most famous and sought-after error types in US coinage, caused during the die-making process when the hub that creates the coin's image is improperly aligned in multiple impressions, leading to slight but detectable doubling in letters, numbers, or design elements such as Lincoln's eye, the date, the motto, "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty." And in some 1996 1-cent coins, such doubling has been found on both obverse and reverse sides, instantly adding considerable value. And while a light doubling might fetch a modest premium, sharp and distinct doubling can raise the coin's worth to over $50 to $100 depending on condition, desirability, and how rare that particular variety is. And then we have off-center strikes, which occur when a coin isn't properly centered in the press during striking, resulting in part of the design missing and part of the blank planchet still visible. And the more off-center it is, especially if the date remains visible, the more valuable the coin becomes, with 1996 1-cents showing dramatic off-center strikes being valued at over $100 depending on percentage off and whether identifying marks like the date and mint mark are still intact. And let's not forget about broad strikes, another eye-catching minting error that results when the coin is struck without the retaining collar that usually keeps it within size limits, allowing the metal to spread out unusually wide, resulting in a distorted but complete coin that is immediately distinguishable from normal strikes. And in the case of 1996 pennies, some broad-stroke examples have been found that collectors prize for their rarity and irregular beauty, often fetching up to $70 or more in high grade. And continuing the error exploration, we arrive at die cracks and die breaks, which happen when the dies used to strike the coins begin to wear out or develop stress fractures, causing raised lines, blobs, or cuds, where part of the design is missing and replaced by a blank area to appear on the coin's surface. And while common die cracks might only add a few dollars of value, dramatic and unusual die breaks, especially on the 1996 penny, can become signature features that attract collectors seeking variety and uniqueness, especially if the break creates an interesting shape, covers a large area, or affects key details like Lincoln's portrait. And one fascinating subtype is the BIE error, where a die break occurs between the letters B and E in Liberty, making it look like there's an extra letter I in the word. And while it's subtle, it has gained popularity among Lincoln cent collectors and can sell for anywhere between $5 and $25 depending on clarity and condition. And then there are strike-through errors where a foreign object or material, such as grease, metal shavings, or even a piece of cloth, gets between the die and the planchet during striking, resulting in a distorted image or partial design transfer. And these coins are quite rare and unique because no two are exactly alike, and if the struck-through material leaves an obvious imprint or causes part of the coin to lack detail entirely, that coin's appeal to error collectors skyrockets. And some 1996 strike-throughs have brought $80 or more in online auctions depending on the clarity of the error and location on the coin. And speaking of grease-filled dies, that's another notable mint error, particularly for the 1996 Lincoln cent, where buildup of debris or grease in the die recesses can cause weak or missing details such as faded letters, numbers, or design features, and in some cases entire elements like the word Liberty or the mint mark may appear faint or gone completely, making these coins intriguing to collectors who value their oddities, with such examples selling anywhere between $20 and $60 based on severity and overall condition. And of course, the condition and grading of the coin itself plays a huge role in value because collectors always prefer coins with higher grades, those that show little to no circulation wear, boast original luster, and have strong strike details. And a 1996 penny in uncirculated condition with one or more of the aforementioned errors can be significantly more valuable than the same coin in worn condition. And when certified and graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC, these coins gain even more credibility and desirability in the market, especially when encapsulated and labeled with the specific error type, which enhances trust and liquidity in secondary markets like online auctions, collector shows, and private sales. And let's not forget about the human factor in all this, because the 1996 penny may not seem old by coin standards, but as years pass and fewer examples remain in pristine condition, especially those with distinct errors, the pool of potential collector-grade specimens shrinks, which inevitably drives up demand and pricing, particularly among Lincoln series collectors who often seek out one of each date and mint mark combination along with the notable error variants from each year. And given the massive number of pennies produced annually, it's easy to assume there are no rarities to be found, but it is precisely this assumption that allows so many valuable error coins to slip by unnoticed. And in the case of the 1996 1 cent, countless examples have been found in old jars, coin rolls, pocket change, and even bulk bank boxes purchased by roll hunters, which proves that the opportunity to discover one of these undervalued gems is very real and very accessible to anyone with patience, a good eye, and a little background knowledge. And speaking of mint marks, while the majority of 1996 1 cent coins came from Philadelphia, which bears no mint mark, and Denver, marked by AD, it's the Denver Mint where many notable errors seem to have occurred in that year, possibly due to increased production loads or a specific batch of misaligned or damaged dies that weren't caught during routine inspections. And so many of the most desirable 1996 error cents feature the D mint mark, making it an area of special focus for those searching through rolls and change. And if you're still not convinced, consider that even coins with subtle planchet flaws like lamination errors, where part of the metal surface peels or flakes, can raise a coin's value if the error is dramatic or touches a key feature of the design. And then you also have transitional errors and misaligned die strikes, which, although less common in this particular year, are still worth noting because collectors are always watching for any outlier that doesn't match standard minting characteristics. And in fact, many 1996 cents with multiple minor errors, such as a coin that is off-center, has a die crack, and a weak strike all at once, are even more valuable due to their compound uniqueness. And in many cases, collectors will pay premium simply because a Coin tells a story of mechanical failure, production oddities, or one in a million circumstances, and it's that human touch, the unintentional mistakes made by a machine or missed by a worker, that gives these small copper discs the kind of narrative that captures imaginations and drives intense bidding wars among enthusiasts. Last. Today we have an absolutely fascinating and unexpected tale about the 1991 cent coin, the humble Lincoln penny that, because of certain rare mint errors and conditions, has fetched prices as high as $87, an amount that seems unimaginable for a coin that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up off the sidewalk. But that's the magic of the coin collecting world. It's filled with surprises that reward keen observation, historical understanding, and a bit of luck. And if you're holding onto a 1990 penny, you're going to want to look closely because it could very well be one of the select few with mistakes and varieties that make it worth big money. So before we jump into all the exciting details, remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a chance to discover valuable coins hiding in plain sight. Now let's begin with the context behind the 1990 penny, which was produced by the US Mint in large quantities with over 6.8 billion struck in Philadelphia alone and an additional 4.9 billion in Denver. But what makes this year truly fascinating is that 1990 marks one of the years in which significant changes and transitions were taking place at the Mint, leading to a host of interesting anomalies, starting with one of the most famous errors involving the 1990 penny with no mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint. And this particular error is rare and highly sought after by collectors because all 1990 proof coins minted in San Francisco should carry an S mint mark, but due to a rare mistake, some proof cents were struck without it, and these no S proof pennies were never meant to be released and are considered some of the rarest and most valuable coins from the entire modern Lincoln cent series. And while the no S proof is already well known in numismatic circles, the regular 1990 cents produced for circulation also exhibit a variety of other valuable errors, including off-center strikes, double die obverse errors, die cracks, cuds, broad strikes, and plating errors, each of which can dramatically increase the value of the coin. And to understand why, let's take a closer look at each one, starting with the double die obverse, a phenomenon that occurs when the hub that impresses the design onto the die is misaligned between strikes, creating a noticeable doubling effect on design elements like the word liberty, the date 1990, or the motto "In God We Trust," and when this happens, even subtle doubling can attract significant collector interest, especially if the coin is in higher grades such as MS65 or better. And then there's the off-center strike error, where the coin is misaligned during the striking process and ends up with part of its design missing or shifted toward one edge, and the more off-center the strike, particularly while still retaining a visible date and mint mark, the more valuable the coin becomes, with some 1990 pennies showing 30% or more off-center misstrikes that are regularly selling for $50 to $87 depending on their condition. But that's just the beginning, because there are also examples of the 1990 penny with die cracks, which are raised lines or bumps on the coin's surface where the die used to strike the coin has cracked from overuse, and these die cracks can appear in various places, such as across Lincoln's bust or near the rim. And while minor cracks might not fetch a high premium, more dramatic and unusual ones can significantly boost value, especially if they create a visual oddity like a spike from Lincoln's head or a large blob of metal on the field. And closely related to this is the cut error, which happens when a piece of the die breaks off entirely and leaves a blank spot on the coin, usually near the rim, resulting in a raised, irregular blob that's part of the coin's surface and adds immediate value for collectors who enjoy these dramatic minting flaws. And even more intriguing are the plating errors, particularly important for pennies minted after 1982, because by that time the composition of the cent had changed from 95% copper to a zinc core with copper plating, and this change introduced a host of new possible mistakes, including incomplete plating, where parts of the zinc core are visible due to thin or missing copper coverage, or bubbles and blisters forming between the zinc and copper layers, all of which make the coin more collectible and increase its market value. And let's not forget broad strikes, where the coin is struck outside the collar that normally keeps the coin in shape, resulting in a larger, distorted cent with smooth edges instead of a rim, which collectors find both visually interesting and relatively rare. And when a 1990 penny has any combination of these errors, say, a double die with a plating bubble or an off-center strike with a cud, the value compounds, making such a coin even more desirable and pushing it closer to the top range of the $87 mark. And the coin's condition or grade is also incredibly important, because coins with minimal wear, bright luster, and strong eye appeal can command multiples of the price compared to those that are heavily circulated, and coins graded mint state, MS60 or higher, by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC are much more likely to fetch top dollar, and collectors also look for red color designation, indicating that the coin retains most of its original copper brilliance, which is harder to find the older a coin gets due to natural oxidation and handling. And what's fascinating is that many of these high-value 1990-era pennies are still in circulation or stashed in jars, drawers, and boxes across the country, meaning that millions of people may be in possession of a small fortune without realizing it, and the surge in interest in coin collecting on social media and YouTube has only fueled demand for these coins, pushing prices higher and bringing new collectors into the hobby who are eager to hunt down valuable error coins like the 1990 penny. And when you consider the historical context, the technical causes behind the errors, the rarity of specific mistake combinations, and the condition and grade of the coin, it becomes easy to see how something so small can be worth so much, and this is exactly why coin collecting remains one of the most exciting and accessible hobbies out there, because it turns everyday change into potential treasure, and every coin tells a story, and the story of the 1990 penny is one filled with minting anomalies, overlooked details, and surprising payouts. So the next time you see a penny from 1990, don't dismiss it, inspect it carefully, look for signs of doubling, check for off-center strikes, examine the plating for bubbles or peeling, look for odd bumps or cracks that might indicate die breaks or cuds, and consider weighing the coin on a sensitive scale to detect any unusual planchet composition that might indicate a transitional error. And if you think you've found something special, have it verified by a professional, because a simple cent could be the doorway to a bigger payday than you ever expected. And as always, this coin community is growing stronger every day, with collectors from around the world sharing discoveries, trades, and tips that make it more likely than ever to strike it rich with an ordinary coin. So keep hunting, keep learning, and keep looking at your change, because numismatics is not just about money, it's about history, craftsmanship, and the thrill of the search. And if you found this deep dive into the 1990 penny exciting and informative, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story of small coins with big value, because there's always a chance the next valuable discovery is hiding in your pocket right now. And with coins like the 1991 cent worth up to $87 due to errors and mistakes, that chance is more real than you think.